Hey guys, welcome back to an all new episode of a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. I am here with pro wrestler Anthony Henry, formerly known as NXT's Asher Hale. But we won't talk about that right there because Anthony Henry is a name on the independent scene that everybody has to know. Anthony, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, man. Very well. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We'll talk about NXT for sure in the show. But obviously, you're Anthony Henry. There's no question about that. You're the fucking man. So I'm really excited about this. Let's start off basic. When did you start getting into pro wrestling? At what age did you learn about pro wrestling, and what was that moment that you were like, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my life"?
Yes, that's a hard one for me because really, wrestling has always been there. I actually can't think of a time where it wasn't. So there was never like really a time for me where I can like look back and think, hey, that's definitely the first time I saw wrestling. It was just always a part of my life. One thing I do remember is it being kind of a thing with me and my father. I remember definitely being at a young age and watching the Stinger and Flair and Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, all those guys in the NWA on the television. So I can't pinpoint the exact point in time, but I can say those are like my earliest memories.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you remember what age you were at that you said like, "Hey, this is what I want to do"?
I'm just a big kid, man, and I just never grew up. So there was no, I can't say there was an answer for that either, because I like from an early age, again, even my sister tells stories all the time to people. Like I was in my living room with my wrestling buddies, like having my little wrestling matches in the living room. And I was like as early as 5 or so, and I just never stopped. So I never stopped being that kid, and it ended up becoming a thing where I did it with my friends in the backyard. And then from there, just escalated to actually going to a school. So it's always just been fun for me. There's never a moment. It's always been me.
Oh, absolutely. Now you've been wrestling for quite some time, almost 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Now, has there ever been a moment in the time span that you've been wrestling that you almost called it quits, that you were like, all right, my body's giving up, I'm getting tired? Has there ever been a moment that you were like, yeah, I got to stop?
Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple of times, not even like necessarily just due to that, but just mentally it can be tough as well. Sometimes I still have those thoughts that enter my mind now. The problem there is that I feel like there's a lot that I have left on the table that I haven't tapped into yet, and a lot of stuff that I just still need to do. Physically, I'm probably worse off than I've ever been, and that just comes with the territory. That comes with doing this for 20 years. So I'm banged up, I'm beat up, and sometimes you're just like, maybe I should think about things, but you just have to be smarter. You just have to make better decisions. But yeah, I mean, there's been a few times that I came really, really close to quitting. In fact, I was quitting before I got signed to NXT. And then, of course, as soon as the release happened, the thought re-enters my mind, well, maybe I should just go back to the original plan of quitting. But again, I'm stubborn, and in my head, I still have a lot left to offer. So as of right now, at this very moment, those plans are off the table. Right now, I'm in it to win it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think, I speak for all your fans that we want to see what happens next with Anthony Henry. So I'm really looking forward to all that. Now you wrestled in a lot of cool organizations, well-known organizations, underground organizations. Let's talk about one organization that you wrestled for, Full Impact Pro. You've done a couple matches with them. You were there for a little bit. What was your experience like with Full Impact Pro?
It's pretty cool. It's I found my way there. Obviously through Evolve, wrestling with Evolve, which was at the time also part of the whole WWN network deal. So FIP was, I guess, like a sister promotion, if you will. I actually remember, watching, because I was such a big Ring of Honor fan coming up, especially like in the early 2000s. And, you got these DVDs of the old, like FIP shows. So it was pretty cool, actually, just to be able to wrestle in the same promotion as a lot of those guys. And as far as my time there itself, like I was FIP champion for I think like over a year, a little bit over a year maybe. I had some fun times there, wrestled some matches that to me were really memorable, such as like wrestling Austin Theory. Winning the FIP title was really cool. My wife and my kid was there, so whether big, whether small, just having your family there for something like that is always pretty cool. So yeah, nothing but good times in FIP. I really enjoyed my time there.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people forget that Full Impact Pro was a part of like Evolve is like an off brand.
Yeah.
Especially when Evolve became a part of like NXT and stuff like that. Let's go into Evolve. Actually, you were a big part of Evolve for quite some time. You teamed up with JD Drake as the workhorseman, or as a lot of people might not know, you guys were actually called the Lethal Enforcers for a little bit,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. Tell us about teaming with JD. Tell us about Evolve and that experience. You guys got to wrestle the one of the best tag teams going today, the Street Profits, at some point. Let's talk about your experience with Evolve a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, Evolve was just kind of at the time was that next logical step for me. I had been doing some things on the independent, some relatively big promotions, I would say, but Evolve at the time was kind of like the wrestler promotion, the work rate promotion, if you will, and that was kind of like, I guess, I don't know, whether you look at it that way or not, it's been my thing. At least most people's evaluation of me is a work rate guy, so that's fine. So I like that because that's actually what my goal always was to be, was a Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, whatever you want to call him. So work rate guy, cool. But yeah, so Evolve was the work rate place because you had your Drew Gulak, your TJP, your Thatcher, all these
Johnny
guys
Gargano.
that could, right? All these guys that could just really work in the ring. And so it was a goal for me to be there, and I made that my goal. I worked towards that goal, and I did one little tryout, and then kind of did some things here and there for them, and then randomly they were in North Carolina wrestling or doing a show alongside PWX, which is another company, obviously my home company. And so they wanted to do this tag match, and they needed two people kind of as fillers. And so they decided they were going to put JD Drake and I together randomly, and we're going to wrestle Doom Patrol, Jaka and Chris Dickinson. And then they decided, hey, we're going to throw the straps on you. Let's see what happens here. And we had never teamed before ever. And, well, that was the beginning of the Workhorsemen because we won the belts that night. The crowd went crazy, and Gabe go as well. I kind of booked myself into a corner here because I can't just take them off of you now because I got such a great reaction. And so basically, that was kind of that pivotal moment where I was no longer just a guy to be used here and there. I was on the shows, and we, JD Drake and I, just kept doing our thing, and we ended up meshing really well and had good chemistry and made a good tag team and had some really good matches, and we ended up becoming permanent members of the roster, got our contracts, and still to this day team together. So if nothing else, Evolve gave the world the Workhorsemen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's phenomenal because a lot of people especially after your release, which we will talk about. I think the first thing is get the workhorsemen back together. You've seen it all on Twitter. You've seen it all on social media. And I think that's what a lot of fans want, is to see JD Drake and Anthony Henry once again do their thing, which we will talk about. You guys are having a reunion at Limitless Wrestling, which we will get into in a few minutes here. Yeah, but no, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, you guys had a lot of good matches, especially against Catch Point, Doom Patrol, Jaka and Dickinson, Street Profits. You guys did your shit in Evolve, and it worked very well. Evolve had really good tag teams for sure, and I think at the top of that list will always be the Workhorsemen. There's a company that I want to talk about here that actually is close by that you wrestled a couple shows for, is Black Label Pro Wrestling. Will that be in the cards for a possible return?
Yeah, I really enjoy Black Label Pro as a company. I really like the promoter, Mikey, or one of the promoters, Mikey, and then Tyler as well. And I have already spoken with them. So far, I don't think the dates have necessarily lined up for me yet, but I'm sure at some point in the near future, that'll definitely be something that will happen.
Absolutely. What about a future debut with Warrior Wrestling?
Hey, I think I think JD Drake and I actually spoke to them like years ago, when they were kind of sort of just forming, or they had been around for a little while. I haven't really spoken to them since then, but I'm open to it. Of course, that would be on the promoter, and if they want to make that happen.
Oh, absolutely. I think Warrior Wrestling, especially being one of those companies that is on the rise now as one of the top independent companies, I think would love to see you guys there for sure.
Hey, I'm down.
Absolutely. There is a match that you're really excited about coming up against Minoru Suzuki that you posted on Twitter a couple times. How's that feeling? How is that going for you? Are you really looking forward to it? Are you prepared for it?
Yeah, if you haven't gotten the vibe from it yet, kind of a person who just kind of goes with the flow. I just kind of let things happen. Things don't faze me like they do a lot of people. Am I happy for it? Sure, 100%. He's a legend. Somebody I've watched so many matches of, studied, looked up to, etc. Very much my style. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I say I'm different because I just don't. Like I said, I go with the flow, and I just don't get caught up in the moments so much until I'm in them. And that's been a reoccurring theme my entire career, my entire life. It's just once I'm in that moment, I'm in it. But until that point, I'm really unaffected in a lot of ways. It's very cool for me. And I'm sure once that bell rings and like I'm there, it's going to be crazy, and there's going to be a million different emotions going through me. Right now, all I can say is I'm really looking forward to it, though. I'm excited.
I think a lot of us, are really looking forward to that match, especially knowing your skill set, knowing his skill set. It's going to be a really good match for sure. Now, we jumped a little bit here, talking about all these promotions. Let's get back to Evolve. When Evolve shut its doors, there was rumors, it wasn't announced yet, but there was rumors that Anthony Henry signed with WWE. Now, it wasn't really announced until earlier last year that you were signed as part of that. Tell us about the experience of getting signed, how that all worked out. You having to move to Florida, obviously. Tell us about that whole experience.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So it could be a short story, but in the way that you asked it, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of give you the long one. So did a tryout in December, I guess 2019. I was, of course, employed by Evolve at the time. Did a tryout. I actually got hurt during the tryout and had to go home. So nothing was really happening there, at least for the time being. But however, I think like maybe a month later, they brought me back, and wanted to have another look at me, and I just came up to do like some NXT stuff at the time. Talked with the doctor, just going through the normal procedures and physical stuff, getting passed through medical, and just being honest in conversation. Admitted to, being banged up here and there, being hit. They asked these questions. And basically it came down to them asking me all these detailed questions that I answered honestly. And they came to the conclusion that I had undiagnosed concussion, and they didn't feel comfortable passing me, and yada, yada, yada. There was no test done or anything like that. It was just, oh, yeah, you have concussion. We don't want to use you. And I didn't really think much of it at the time. I was just like, okay, well, I'll go to a doctor at home and it'd be fine, whatever. But it wasn't. I couldn't do anything physically that night. And then I got a call the next night from Gabe. And basically he was telling me that doctors had gone to management or whoever and let them know the deal, and that now WWE was no longer interested in me, did want to use me. And because of that, Evolve also did not want to use me because of their connection with WWE. And I guess Gabe being worried that it would affect him and his position, whatever. So I went from possibly being looked at to be signed to we're not interested in the slightest. And by the way, the promotion that you have been working for the past 3 years and dedicated so much time to also cannot use you. So I'm left in a position where I start rethinking everything. And that's where we talked about earlier, physically and mentally. I got really depressed, and that's kind of where I had decided that like I was going to quit. It was also in the midst of the ongoing pandemic had just started, I think around that time, and there was just a lot of factors, and I was like, I'm quitting. So when wrestling slowly did open back up, I said I was just going to do a select few matches that I wanted to do really badly, and that was going to be it. So I wrestled Alex Shelley amongst other people. He was someone I really wanted to wrestle. There were some other people on that list, rather, that I also got the opportunity to wrestle. Cool. I was cool with that. It just when I'm about to finish up, WWE calls. It was December of 2020, I guess. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
That would date. So they call, and now it's like, do you still want to retire? And I had to think about it, and I'm like, I don't know. It depends. Talk with my wife, and I was kind of like ready to say, screw it. I don't even want the opportunity, but she talked me into it. You'll regret it if you don't. Just do it. So go back down, do this second tryout, go through the process, find out I'm getting signed, months of waiting. All right, you got to move to Florida. So I packed up my family. I moved to Florida. It's a big deal. And I get there, and honestly, I can't say it was a bad time. As angry as I can be at the situation, my experience there was great. Very professional. Learned a lot. It's sad and upsetting that I was there for 6 months. I was hurt the entire time I was there, which is a whole nother story, and never really got to show anybody my full potential. But again, nonetheless, I learned a lot, and I think I'm better now after the experience than I was before. And so we'll see what happens from here. But overall, it's been a roller coaster.
Oh,
Up,
for sure.
down, sideways, depression, coming back. Thought I was quitting, coming back. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens from here, but hopefully good things.
Oh, for sure, man. When it came down to picking your name for NXT, did you have the choice of picking your name, or did they just tell you like, hey, this is going to be your name, and you were just like, all right?
No. So that's the thing everybody on the Twitterverse likes to talk about. Like, it's always funny to me because pretty much everyone who was there picks their own name. Okay, so if you hate the name, then you hate the name, and that's fine. But you're hating it not because WWE picked it, but and they do pick it. Of course, you have your options though. So whatever name you're coming up with, you're taking to the office, and they're gonna say yes or no. So at the end, they do select the name, but you're putting it together. So if you're hating on an NXT talent's name, just know that they came up with it.
It's a question, like you said. I mean, Twitter does it all the time. They did it with Frankie Monet. They said, "What kind of name is that?" And they talked crap about Taya Valkyrie, and said like, what's up with this? And they do that a lot, and I think that's one of the questions that a lot of people don't understand is it's not fully always the company itself. It's an agreement between both parties.
Right.
Now, with the timetable of your NXT experience, and everybody was getting, a month before you got let go, you had other names get let go, Braun Strowman and all that. Were you kind of fearing for your job when that happened?
I think everybody was to some degree. I was still in the position where I didn't care that much. I didn't care that much going in. I didn't care that much leaving because I was about to quit anyway.
Yeah.
So I was basically seeing this thing through to the end because I felt like I owed it to myself in that at that point 18, 19 years that I put into this. I needed to end the story, right? So I was doing it a lot of it was for that reason. And although it sucked, I wasn't that upset because of that. That's the freedom. That's actually, the first time, like I said, I went through that depression, but I also found out that like there's happiness outside of wrestling, and wrestling isn't me. I'm not just wrestling. There's other things about me that make me me, and I can be happy with. And so, yes, everybody was fearing, I think, to some degree for the job. They didn't know what was going on. Everybody from guys who had just came in to top talent, nobody knew, even the coaches. And so, yeah, there was definitely that fear factor there. But for me, again, it was whatever. Sucked that it happened. Of course, I wanted to stay there because I was making good money. I was supporting my family, which is always the goal. Yeah. But it is what it is, and I'll move on, and I have moved on, and I'm still making pretty decent money taking the bookings I'm taking, so I'm cool with it.
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, saying all that, I mean, obviously when you got the phone call, it was just kind of like, there it goes,
Yep. Yeah, I actually, the way it kind of went was I was on the couch with my wife. We were watching a movie, and I missed the phone call. Got a text message from John Laurinaitis, and John Laurinaitis has no reason to be texting or calling me unless there's one of two things happening. They're moving me up to the main roster, or I'm getting fired. I knew the first one wasn't happening, so I was like, just looked at my wife. I was like, well, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call him back. And sure enough, call him back, and it's basically, oh hey, we're gonna have to go ahead and let you go, do the budget cuts. But the door's always open, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, right. Okay, cool, man. That was that. Yeah.
It's such a bummer, man, because I mean, me especially being a big fan of yours, I was really excited to see you there. But like you said, I mean, it was the experience, and I think that's going to make you a better version of yourself now getting back on the independents. Is there a possible AAW debut for Anthony Henry?
AAW? Yes. So that would also be on one Danny Dennings. So we have spoken. There's been interest, but it hasn't gone really beyond that. So, if he wants to send a message, reply back and forth with me, we can figure something out for sure. I've seen, obviously, the promotion. I've I've always heard great things. See the crowds; they're awesome. So I'm always down for it.
Oh, for sure. Now, question: did you watch the new version of NXT last night?
Absolutely not. Let me
Will
let
you?
you in on a secret. Um, secret is I didn't even watch the product when I was on it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, and that's not me like dissing um, the product at all. I think NXT was one of the best products on the face of the planet when it comes to professional wrestling. A lot of great talent there, of course. They know what they're doing. At least the last time I've seen it. I was just at a point where other things uh, took over my life and were more important to me, and there were other priorities. I love the part of wrestling where I get to go in there and perform and improve myself and entertain the audience. But my days of like where I would sit and watch wrestling for hours and hours and hours and hours like I used to, not there anymore. So I have not watched the new product. I've heard mixed things about it, so I don't know.
It was good. I thought it was actually really a different look for sure. Did you watch AEW while you were in NXT at all?
No, I didn't watch. I watched nothing really, other than my own stuff, and that's not to be egotistical. That was to see whether or not I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, and to basically pick at myself and see what I hated and what I loved. That was really the only reason. That was really the only thing that I watched.
Oh, for sure, man. I get it. I mean, it's kind of critiquing yourself at that point, you know.
Right.
I get that for sure. Now you posted a picture talking about your AEW Dark debut coming up. I want to say it's probably next week, if I'm not mistaken, or this weekend or something. How was the atmosphere in AEW's locker room compared to NXT's?
So, going back to me watching product and all that stuff, my very first viewing of AEW was the pay-per-view right beforehand, All Out, right? I'd never seen AEW. I'd watched some of JD's matches because it's JD, it's my friend. But I kind of already knew like that I was going to be coming up, and so I wanted to check it out and see it for myself. And so I watched it. Based off of that pay-per-view, I was kind of blown away because I felt like it was a really great pay-per-view, and I was like, whoa. I mean, if this is a testament to what it's going to be like, that's really cool. So obviously went there, did the tapings. Really long day, but despite that, it was awesome. Like, it was laid back. Everybody was really helpful. Everybody was supportive of each other. Great atmosphere. I have no complaints as far as that goes.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, funny enough is you said the pay-per-view was the first time you actually watched their product. I actually was not a fan of AEW until that pay-per-view. So I've watched it and a little bit here and there, and I was like, I'm not a big fan. I watched JD's matches, like you said too, because JD being JD, I had to. You know, there was other standouts that I watched for, but All Out completely sold me. I think that was one of the best pay-per-views of the decade, or in general. It was fantastic. But I think with all the pictures and stuff for the upcoming AEW Dark, with Anthony Green showing up, you showing up, you got a lot of cool talent that I think a lot of people are really excited for. So I think the next couple AEW Darks are going to be absolutely amazing. Do you think that if they offered you something, you think you'd stick around AEW for a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Again, I'm at a point in my life where I don't know where wrestling is going to fit in. And it's fun to be able to go out and do independence and entertain crowds and just do my thing. And it's super fun. But I'm at a point where guaranteed money is a great thing.
Oh, for
Thinking
sure.
career, you know what I mean? And I'm coming off of my time with NXT where money was guaranteed, and that's always the goal. I need to be able to support my family. And I can do that off of independent wrestling, sure. I know that's always the argument. Yes, I don't have to have a contract. However, it's not guaranteed money. I have to go out, I have to find these dates, and if the dates don't come for a month, the money's not there, right? So there's a whole lot of scenarios that could put a damper on paying bills and supporting my family. So if AEW was to offer me the right deal, and it does have to be the right deal, I'm not saying I would just take anything, but if they were to offer the right deal, I would certainly be very excited to be on the team based off of my time there at Dark, based off of what I've seen and how everybody interacts with each other. It just seems like a great team to be a part of. So, yes.
Oh, for sure. I hope to see you more there. I think it'd be awesome to see you more on television because I think we didn't get the full experience.
Definitely not. You didn't even get the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I mean, especially because, you know, it was 205 Live and a lot of people turn off on 205 Live now that a lot of the talents aren't there and it's not consistent anymore.
Right.
You know, you get a lot of people hating that product, unfortunately. Final couple questions here really quick. If there was one thing you didn't get a chance to do before signing with WWE that you can do now, what would it be?
One thing I didn't get to do before signing with WWE?
Right. If there was one match or one promotion that you could wrestle for or anything like that you didn't get a chance to do.
New Japan, actually just Japan in general, but definitely New Japan. I was when I did watch hours and hours and hours of wrestling, which I often did on road trips and on the plane and in the car. JD Drake can tell you these stories as well. Most of it was Japanese wrestling, and majority of that Japanese wrestling was probably the New Japan product. So that was a place that was always at the top of the list. And in fact, if I had a goal, WWE was never my goal. My goal was definitely Japan. I just was at a point where I kind of accepted the fact that unfortunately Japan wasn't going to be an option. So WWE was the next best thing. So yeah, that would be it.
Oh, for sure. We would love to see that too, especially with New Japan Strong. I think that would be really a cool experience too, for sure. Workhorseman reunion at Limitless Wrestling. How excited are you about that?
That's one I'm definitely really, really, really excited about, because if there's one thing that I've learned in my time in wrestling is that you just know when something works. And as good as JD Drake and I both are individually, I feel like, and I honestly believe this, that as a team, we're so much better. And that's coming from two people who I think, like, again, I said on our own, I think we're great. And I have no problem saying that about myself, and I definitely have no problem saying that about him. But as a team, I think we are amazing, and I think that we never, again, fully saw our potential reached. And who knows what could happen. Hopefully, this reunion will not just be something that's seen on the independents. Maybe it'll go further than that. I would love for that to happen, because that would be the culmination of everything that I've been working for my entire career. Because I really think we're something special as a team.
Oh, especially because we see it now. You're working out, man. It doesn't stop. You guys are the epitome of the workhorsemen. It's awesome, man. Now you did mention something on Twitter a while back, a little bit ago, after your release, that you said all hail Anthony Henry. Is that going to be a part of your gimmick going forward? Is all hail, or are you going to just completely disappear with that?
I mean, it was just kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing to say. Maybe a little petty. I don't know. I'm not really a petty guy. Like I said, no ill will, but it was just, we all got a little bit of pettiness in us, so it was there.
Oh, for sure. I think it'd be cool. I think it would really work with Anthony Henry for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of mental health, though, you were talking about depression and stuff. Do you have anything you want to say to people that suffer from mental health, like myself? Just
I just think it's important to understand that so many people go through it, and it doesn't make you weak to go through it, and it's okay to accept it and to communicate with others about it, because I think that's what helped me was slowly was just talking about it. It does a lot, really does, and so many people are scared to just admit they have issues, and I think that's what makes a lot of people suffer for so long and leads to unfortunate things that could happen. And it's sad because it's largely preventable, I think, especially if you have a good support system. If you have a good support system, use it, because people do care, actually. So, and getting it off your chest can help a ton.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for those words, Anthony. And
Of course,
anybody who suffers from mental health, if you ever need to reach out to somebody, feel free to reach out to myself. I'll always be there. I'm sure Anthony will be there for people as well if you need.
For sure.
Anthony, do you want to tell the fans where they can find you at on social media?
Yeah, so everything is pretty much the same handle. It's all at Anthony Henry, which is ANTNY Henry, HENRY. That's the Twitter, that's the Instagram. Don't really use much else than that. Don't even really get on the Facebook, but if you want to follow me there, go ahead. I might update it every year.
Absolutely. Anthony, from somebody who has followed your career for quite some time and has created you in every wrestling video game since I've met you or seen you.
By the way.
You're one of the only ones, man. Stephen Wolf, who was just on my show, is another one that I followed and try to create. There's only a handful, and you're one of them, man. So this was such an honor and a treat. I'm gonna cut it a little shorter just because I know you're at the gym and I'll want you to finish your workout a little bit. But man, it was such an honor to have you on the show, and I really appreciated it, man.
Hey, honor is all mine. My pleasure. Anytime you want to do it again, we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for joining. Anthony Henry, myself, Matt Kozakowski. Until next time, guys, take care.
All right.